All right, coaches, here is how you play Light Another Candle. We call this game Light Another Candle because a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. So if you play the ball backwards to a teammate, you're not losing anything. All you're doing is you're just inviting another teammate to come play with you. So you're not losing the ball, you are gaining a teammate. So, oh wait, I forgot the ball. So the coach will be here. This is you. This is the coach. The coach is here with all of the soccer balls. Gameplay begins like this. The coach will put a ball out onto the field. A player from the middle from each team will enter the field. Here's how you teach in the game. When you are on your own, you are not allowed to score. So before you're allowed to score, you must light another candle. You must connect backwards to bring on a teammate. So if this red player wins the ball, if they play backwards here, this player can come on and join them. Now, instead of a 1v1, it is a 2v1. Now that they have two players, the red team is allowed to go and score if they want to, but they could also play this way and bring on a third player if they wanted, and now it is a 3v1, which hypothetically should make it easier for them to score. So if the blue player is able to win this ball, the blue player is still on their own. They're not allowed to score. So where do they have to go to find help? They must also connect backwards to find help. Now that they've got two players, they can go score, but they're still playing numbers down. It's 2 against 3, so if they would like, they can play back here and even the numbers up and play 3v3. This is as big as the game goes. You can only bring on one player from each corner. You are not allowed to bring on another player from the middle, so you can only bring on one player from each of the corners, so 3v3, or if you consider the goalkeepers on the field, 4v4. This is as big as the game grows, so it's kind of like a choose-your-own-adventure game here. So the game starts 1v1, but it will expand, and it'll expand differently, and we never know exactly how it's going to expand. Maya, don't help. Sit down, babes. So, again, we put the ball into play, and then the game will grow from there. So, again, if the Blues connect down here, they can come and play. What will happen a lot is this defender will overcommit, and the Blues will get in behind them. If this goalkeeper is able to make a save, lots of times the immediate reaction will be they will want to launch this ball forward here because they will forget that this player can't score on their own. So if your goalkeeper makes a save, we want them to immediately fire that ball out and bring on help. Another thing that happens in this game is lots of times players will try to play this ball from this corner all the way across their goal over to this other corner. There's not necessarily anything wrong with that, but what I try to encourage my teams to do is to play through their goalkeeper just because it's a better habit to make. It's a little bit more game realistic, and we want our goalkeepers to not be afraid to play. We don't want their brains to shut off. So if we're pressured here, we would rather to get this ball here, let's play to our goalkeeper's feet. That's a safer pass, and then this is a safer, easier pass to get to there. So, again, if we're trying to get over there, let's see if we can play through our goalkeeper's feet to get it out there. Another common thing that's going to happen here a lot is a player will have won the ball down in this corner, and they will have defenders on their back, and they will fight, and they will fight, and they will try like crazy to try to turn out of it when they are looking at a teammate right here in this corner who is desperate to get on the field and is oftentimes begging them for the ball. This is going to be an obvious coaching point that happens a lot. Just, right, light another candle, drop that ball back, evacuate the space to open it up, bring another player into the space, right, and maybe you can then get that ball back to go and score. But bring on those extra players, get numbers up. So here is the way that I like to advance this game. So the way that I have just taught it is the most basic way to play. You are not allowed to score on your own. You must have at least one teammate with you. Once they have gotten the hang of that, to help introduce higher stakes and more decision making, I will then say, okay, you are now allowed to score in the 1v1 situation if you want to, but since there's only one field player on, if you score that goal, it's only worth 1 point. But if you are able to bring on a secondary player, well, now there's 2 of you. So now if you score a goal, it is worth 2 points. But if you're able to bring on a third player and go score a goal, now it is worth 3 points. So now there's a risk-reward situation that happens. If this red player is able to steal this ball and they're right there in front of the goal, do they just poach the early goal and take the 1-pointer, or do they risk trying to turn it, fire a ball back, and try to go and get on more players to get a goal that's worth more points? It's interesting and fun to watch the decisions that the players make. It's also interesting and fun to watch how their teammates kind of hold them accountable and guide their decision making throughout. Sometimes the players always want them to just take the surefire, easy goal. Sometimes players will really get frustrated with them if they don't always try to bring on that third player. Sometimes on that bigger space, once they get to 2 and 3 players, scoring goals is really easy because they're smart players in this big space. Again, if we're talking about this as a full 5v5 field at Cedar Creek, sometimes this full space, it's a lot of room, it's easy to score. So what I would do is, after you have learned the game and we're finding success now on that full space, play the exact same game, but shrink this thing down now to just half of the space. The game still works and operates, so you'll roll this goal down. So the game still works and operates in the exact same way, but now since you're in a much smaller area, the pressure comes faster, obviously, right? The space gets smaller, so all of your choices, all of your decision making, all of your movement has to happen faster. It has to be a lot sharper. Everything's happening quicker and faster and better. So another thing to keep in mind here is you don't want these players in the middle to stay there the whole time. You don't want these players in the corners to stay there the whole time. So what I will do is, every 5 minutes or so, I will say, all right, the players that are in the middle, move down to the near corner. The players in the near corner, move to the far corner. The players in the far corner, come to the middle. And then I'll say, all right, Jane, you go switch with Randy and goal. And then I'll bring Randy to the middle, put Jane in goal. Now everybody is doing something new and something different and experiencing the game in a different way. Generally what happens is when you put this ball into play, they're running this way, they're facing this way. This far corner is usually the easiest place for them to get the ball to. So the players in this far corner usually get onto the field the most often, which means the players on this near side can sometimes get stuck there. So that's another reason why it's a good idea to change them around where they're coming on from. It's also a reason why it's a good idea to implement eventually that rule of 1 player on is worth 1 goal, 2 players on is worth 2, 3 players on is worth 3, because it brings on more of an incentive to get everybody onto the field so more players are getting included. This game is really, really fun. It's really fast. It's competitive. Lots of goals are being scored, and every part of this game, you can make this a defensive game. You can make this game about combination play. You can make this game about finishing. You can make this game about passing and receiving. This game can be about literally everything. It's a ton of fun. Have a blast.